Welcome to Mindful Mastery, the top spot for personal development and skill enhancement. In today's episode, we are diving into the seminar featuring Brian Tracy, Session 11, The New Mental Diet. Let's get started.
Radio, television, newspaper, books, papers, magazines, everything that you allow to influence your thinking affects your subconscious mind, affects your attitudes, your expectations, your values, your beliefs, and ultimately your potential as a human being. In fact, the great difference between human beings is not intelligence and not education and not opportunity. It is what they are feeding into their minds on a regular basis. Now, we also said, and it's the same thing. If you were to say, well, yes, I eat good food a lot of the time, but some of the time, or 50% of the time, I eat junk food. I eat food that's high in salt, high in sugar, low in nutrition, inert foods, dead foods, white flour, French fries, grease, and so on. But it doesn't bother me. It doesn't have any effect on my body. You would know that that is nonsense because everything counts. Everything counts. One of the marks of a truly honest person is that they accept reality, and reality is that everything that you do, mentally or physically, counts. And it's either positive, it's either helping you, moving you toward what you want to be and have and do, or it's negative, it's moving you away, but nothing is neutral. Everything counts. So with regard to the power of suggestion, let's go on and talk about how we complete this process of reprogramming ourselves so that inside we are totally successful human beings, so that outside we will be totally positive, enthusiastic, successful human beings. Feed your mind the same way you would feed your body. Feed your mind carefully. If you were concerned about physical health and longevity, you would measure and calculate and look into the foods you eat. Look carefully into the mental foods that you eat too. Because these mental foods, by a process that we call the law of accumulation. Now, the law of accumulation is both a mental law as well as a physical law, and what it says is that every single thing that you do, positive or negative, accumulates. That every single great achievement in life is the result of thousands of ordinary achievements. From time management to nuclear physics, 1 hour per day will make you an authority. 3 to 5 years will make you an expert, and 5 to 7 years will make you an international authority, make you one of the most knowledgeable people in that field in the world, in just 1 hour a day in any subject. And you can pick anything from medicine to molecular biology. So read an hour per day. Recent study shows that the average adult in North America reads less than 1 book a year. That 58% of adults in the United States and Canada never finish a non-fiction book after they leave high school. When they leave high school, you know what they say? Or they leave university, they say, thank heavens this is over, I'll never read another book as long as I live. And they can't understand why they stop going. But it's only reading that causes your mind to stretch and grow. Conversation is good. Listening is good. Courses and classes are good. Watching videotape instruction is good, of course. But only reading is going to work it out. Now let me ask you a very simple question. Do you think that if you read 1 book a week for the next 10 years, in a world where the average person reads less than 1 book a year, do you think that would give you the edge? Do you think that would affect your life in any way? Do you think that would change your career and your income? Do you think it would change your environment? Do you think it would change everything that goes on around you? You bet your bippy it would, because by the power of suggestion, by feeding your mind with new information, 500 books in 10 years will transform your life in such a way that you will never be able to recognize it. Right, the next thing with regard to feeding your mind is listen to tapes. The discovery of audio cassette learning has been considered the greatest single advance in education since the discovery of the printing press, or the invention of the printing press. Audio cassette learning brings the finest minds in the world with their finest thoughts thought out, scripted, edited, tightly compressed and put together into your hands for a few dollars a tape, and you can walk, just don't listen to so much radio. I'm not saying don't listen to the radio at all, but just don't listen to so much of it. Where do you get time to take additional courses? Instead of sitting around on the weekends, take a course. Instead of watching television in the evenings, go and take a course. But remember, the clock is running. If you want to get to the top of your field, if you want to be a leader, if you want to be a star in your field, knowledge is power. Knowledge today is more important than anything else. Knowledge is the great power in our society, and the more knowledge you have, the more practical knowledge that can be put to purposes that can help other people and benefit yourself and the people around you, the more knowledge you have, the more power you will have, the more self-esteem you will have, the more status, the more position, the more security, everything. The most insecure person in our society is the person who has stopped learning and growing, and they know it. All right. By the way, one other thing. According to the Harvard studies, one of the keys to self-motivation is perpetual growth. As long as you're growing and learning and feeding your mind with new material, you will be continuously motivated, exactly as if you were taking psychological vitamins. As soon as you stop growing, you start stagnating. When you start stagnating, your self-esteem goes down, your energy level goes down, your health level goes down, you become prone to more diseases, and so on and so forth. So as long as you're learning and growing, you'll be vital physically and mentally. The next part of feeding your mind is what we call the reference group, or put it another way, get around the right people. Get around the right people. Now, getting around the right people simply means this, is that when we talked about the power of suggestion, we said that about 85 to 95% of all of the influences in your life, all the reasons you do anything, is because of suggestive influences around you. Not only physical suggestions, the weather, the heat, the cold, and so on, but also the emotional suggestions, the impact of the people you associate with. And the more you associate with people, especially people in your family, people in your close social circle, people that you work with, the more you associate with these people, the more of an impact they have on your thinking and on your future. David McClelland found at Harvard University, after 25 years, he found that the choice of a reference group was one of the key determinants of success or failure in life. Now, a reference group are the people that you identify with. Remember we talked about identification? The people that you consider yourself to be one of. It's as simple as that. Who do you identify with? Well, let me give you an example. I was reading the story of a self-made millionaire not long ago, and he had started off as a young man when other kids were collecting baseball cards or football cards or hockey cards. He became fascinated with executives of Fortune 500 corporations. So he began reading his father's Businessweek, Newsweek, Fortune magazine, Wall Street Journal, and he began keeping files on executives who were in the news. And he began to identify with those executives. He began to think about being in a Fortune 500 corporation, and he began to think about being an executive in a Fortune 500 corporation at a time when some people were thinking about being hockey stars or baseball stars. The interesting thing was that as he grew up, this directional mechanism, this role model, this reference group that he identified with began to affect what he read in school, what he studied, how much he applied himself, how hard he worked, what companies he went to work with, what company he went to work with when he came out of high school and university. And by the time he was 25 years old, he was an executive of a Fortune 500 corporation, one of the youngest executives of a Fortune 500 corporation in business history, but it's because he started at the age of 12 identifying with those. Question, who do you identify with? Now, whoever you identify with today, one of the things you have to ask yourself is, who would you like to be like? Who do you want to identify with? And then you start getting around the right people. The starting point of getting around the right people is to start to read the magazines that they read. If you want to be a successful person in business, read successful business magazines. If you want to be a top salesperson, read successful sales magazines, marketing magazines, books written by top salespeople. If you want to be a successful executive, if you want to be a successful marketer, if you want to be a successful parent, then begin getting around these people through their writings, through their tapes, and through their courses. The other thing is to program into your subconscious computer is, I feel terrific. 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 What you do is you get up and you say it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and you repeat it over. I feel terrific. I feel terrific. You don't get up in the morning and say, geez, I'm tired. Geez, I'm tired. Geez, I'm tired. Oh, God, I'm tired. You get up in the morning and say, I feel terrific. Somebody says, how you feel? You say, I feel terrific. Even when you feel terrible, say, I feel terrific. You see, your subconscious mind can't tell the difference between a real fact and one that you vividly imagine. And if you repeat, I feel terrific, very loud, I feel terrific, try it yourself. I feel terrific, I feel terrific, I feel terrific. What happens is the subconscious mind believes that maybe you do feel terrific, and it will actually give you a surge of energy that will wake you up and clear your mind even before you have coffee. Now, the second thing that you do in the morning, this is number one. Second thing that you do to start your day off well is to read for 30 to 60 minutes. Get up early enough to read for 30 to 60 minutes in something that is motivational, something that is inspirational, something that is educational, something that uplifts your mind. What we call mentally will go better. And the third step is review your goals every morning. Review your goals every morning. Every morning before you start out, review your goals. Just the same as if you were on a long motor trip, or if you were at sea, you'd look at the map. You'd shoot the stars and the moon. In other words, you'd take a look at where you are and you would plot your destination and you would think about it, because when you review your goals, you program them into your subconscious mind. Well, programming them into your subconscious mind by repeating them every day and using that wonderful technique, that golden hour. I learned this many years ago, and I've been absolutely astonished. Those 3 points: wake up in the morning and say, I feel terrific. Read for 30 to 60 minutes and write and review your goals every single morning. And the most remarkable thing that happens is you start off every day supercharged. You start off every day feeling positive. You start off every day feeling energetic. So let's just review for a second, and I'm going to wrap up with 2 really critical points. We talked about the power of suggestion. Remember that everything counts. And everything that I talked about here when I first began teaching, I hoped it worked, I thought it worked, I sort of believed it worked, but now I know it works. Having taught it, I've internalized it. Having internalized it, I have seen examples of every single bit of this. Back everything that you do with confident expectations. An attitude of confident expectations is the mark of the truly healthy personality. Remember we talked about the power of expectations? An attitude of confident expectations means that you confidently expect good things to happen. You have an attitude of positive self-expectancy. You become what W. Clement Stone calls an inverse paranoid. An inverse paranoid, as you know, a paranoid is a person who is convinced that the world is out to get him, that the whole world is conspiring to get him. An inverse paranoid is a person who is convinced that the world is conspiring to do him or her good. So become an inverse paranoid. Be absolutely convinced that the world has got a plot out there. It's plotting to do you good. It grows and grows and grows, and eventually it gets to the point where you absolutely believe that you earn $50,000 a year. And if somebody were to wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning and give you a check and say, how much do you earn? You say $50,000 a year, even though still at this point you've never earned more than $27,000 in your whole life. Now this is the way all our beliefs change. We start off with where we are now. We look at where we want to be in the future, and we begin to feed our mind with new mental food consistent with where we want to be. As we feed our mind with that new mental food, we start off with a lot of disbelief and skepticism. As a matter of fact, your skepticism and disbelief is the biggest obstacle to your success. But as we repeat it over and over again, as we continue to work on ourselves and to work on the situation, we begin to believe more and more that it's possible. We begin to impress the possibility of it deeper and deeper into the subconscious. Now, in propaganda, this is called the big lie. The big lie theory was the discovery that if you repeated anything over and over again often enough, that even the most intelligent person would come to believe it. With regard to your life and to my life, this is called the big truth. The big truth is that you can be, have, and do anything that you want if you want it badly enough and are willing to make the effort. That anything that you can hold in your mind on a continuing basis, you can be, have, or do. You will become what you think about. Your only job is to make a very, very clear decision about the person you want to be, the things that you want to have, the goals that you want to accomplish, and then make sure that you feed your mind continuously, day by day, week by week, hour by hour, with words, pictures, images, ideas, thoughts, and information consistent with your goals and your ideals. Keep your mind on what you want, keep it off of what you don't want, and everything is possible for you.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We would also love to hear your thoughts in the comments and any video suggestions you have that is related to our content. See you in the next video.